All right, guess who's in the studio with me again? Jamie's back from vacation. Hi everyone, my name is Chris Martin. Welcome to Keto with me. So, real quick before we talk about his vacation aspect, we have let's see, last time you guys saw him do a sit-down discussion with me, it was like week 5, right? Week 5, yeah, we did it after week 5. And then, was it week 6? Do you remember?
I don't remember. It may have been 6.
I'm pretty sure it was 5 because I remember we doing a short update for 6. Anyway, look at us. Between the two of us, we don't even know. Yeah. But it's been like at least 5 weeks since he's been in the studio with me. So we are in week 10 now. Actually, we are the last day of week 10. The day we're recording this actually is the last day of week 10, and that's on a Sunday. So let's go over real quick where he left off, like when we saw him in the studio last. Now, if you've watched his weekly updates, then you have some semblance of exactly like what's been going on with Jamie, right? You've seen his weight losses, you've heard about his blood glucose, you've heard about ketones and fasting and all this other cool stuff. And then as of late, his vacation stuff. So let's look at the week 5 numbers, because I think when you see week 5 and you hear week 10, it's like, wow, there's a lot of changes that occurred. So would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there is. So week 5, previously, let's just say this, anything before week 6, you only have one goal. Do you remember what that was?
Less than 60 carbs.
Yep, less than or equal to 60 carbs. That was his only thing. Our only concern was breaking the sugar addiction. That's it. That's all he had to do. And he did very, very, very well at that. And he had some challenges during that time period too. He had he had a work travel thing that he did. I think you even had a vacation.
I did.
How many vacations do you want to take? That's actually one of my questions towards the end here. Is like, is there another surprise coming, Jamie? No, you told me about the big one that was coming, but yeah. Yeah, you had challenges before and you made it through it and you lost significant weight loss. Matter of fact, the last time, let's just kind of recap just even where he started weight-wise. He started weight-wise with me at 318 pounds roughly. Might have made a little change on there, but 2 weeks before that, when him and I first talked, and we were preparing for it, he went ahead and started keto ahead of time, and so he had like a 2-week jump. He was at 327 then. Week 5, his weight was 293.6. So that's a long ways from 318 and 327. So just in that 8 to arguably 10-week period, you had lost a significant amount of weight, and you went under 300 pounds and stuff like that. So we got some good things to share too. Your average blood glucose that week was 110. You had some big numbers in there too, but we're not going to mention that right now. You had average ketones around 0.3. Your macros were not really fat focused, though you were doing pretty good even at that point of trying to keep your carbs low and under 20. Like even though he had a 60 as his goal, he was starting to do that. He had no real focus that I'm aware of on like clean versus dirty. At that point, it was just like carbs, like try to do the carbs, And he didn't really do a whole lot of fasting unless it was kind of on accident. I remember one day he said, oh, I didn't even eat breakfast, or something like that. So then, week 6 came and that's when I said, I'm going to bring the hammer down, I was like, and that was where I was like, okay, we got to start doing keto because you're on a keto channel, but you're doing low carb. And that was the point where, I said, all right, now you got to officially do less than or equal to 20 carbs. You had to target macro percentages of around 75, 5, and 20. So basically that means 75% of his food has to come from fat, 5% from carbs, and 20% from protein. His fasting, he gave him basically an official fasting target, which was you need to fast 16/8. And that basically means you just skip breakfast is what he was doing. But he did not have to do an advanced fast. So an advanced fast is where you want to keep it clean. So if you're doing non-advanced, it means like if you need in the morning like cream in your coffee or MCT oil or butter, then you can do it. We don't counted against your fast. So that was your goal. That was your targets for that week. And wow, that week was really good. I mean, you like lost 5.6 pounds at the end of that week. Your blood glucose was still sticking at like 110, so that told us kind of like right off the bat, you know, you're probably going to be stubborn, you're probably a little insulin resistant. You know, you had a high number of 128 on your blood glucose, a low of 100, and, you know, 0.7 on your ketones. You had a 1.4 high, which was, I believe, the first week that you remember? Probably first week you went into the ones.
Yeah.
Because you were like tacking like under 0.5 forever.
Yeah.
It seemed like. But you had a low that week of 0.4. Your average carbs were 4.9. Your high carb for that week, that one day you had 21.5, which that happens to me. I mean, I drift over sometimes too. But you had a low carb of 0 of that week. You want to tell me why you ended up with a 0, you know, as one of the low carbs for your week? Do you remember?
That's when I had that's when I did the 48-hour fast.
Yeah. So I was like, I never told him that, you know, matter of fact, I've never assigned him long fast. Just never, because, you know, I leave that up to the person. You know, if they want to do it, they can do it. Now, it doesn't mean when we don't, you know, when we get to maybe like the last 4 or 5 weeks of your journey, you might be like, hey, I really want to get this off. That's when I would probably maybe make it an official goal. But you'll never really see me assign it as an official goal. That's why 1 meal a day would probably be what I would, hey, I think this is what's a good goal. You don't have to do long fast. But Jamie, you know, surprised the crap out of me. And I just gotta be honest with you. I mean, it just blew me away. You did that 48-hour fast, and I was like, wow. You know, and we did this in the update video, but do you remember, you know, how you felt like on that fast at all?
Well, like after the fast, you know, and then you eat your first meal, you know, you're just, your body feels, you feel clean, you feel refreshed. It's just, it was a good feeling.
Yeah.
And so that's why the following week I thought, you know, 48, I really wasn't hungry.
Right.
It was just like, it was, okay, 48 hours went by, it's time to eat. You know, you had gotten to that point to where so I thought, well, you know, let's try for 72, see what happens.
Oh, you're getting ahead of yourself to week 7 here. No, but he's right. We'll get to that in a second. The reason I don't want him to jump past this one is because there was something really amazing that happened in week 6. It was kind of one of the things he told me was coming when we first got together. He goes, I'm going to have
my doctor's appointment.
Yeah, and what'd she tell, or she or he tell you?
You know, she told me to keep up with the diet, that I was doing great, and she wanted to see me back in.
Oh no, I was thinking more like the threat she gave you back in January.
I got you, to where she was going to start treating me for diabetes if I didn't make some life changes.
Yeah. He was up against, that's kind of one of the reasons we got, you know, we're working together and all that. Just that huge, like, if you come in, you haven't lost like, I think like 15 pounds and make a direction change, she was going to do that. And then I just remember getting the text from you and, you know, it's saying something to the extent, and you can definitely elaborate on this, something to the extent of, it's the best doctor's visit I've had, I don't know, 15 years. It was just like some long time, and all the numbers were in the green, and I was like,
yeah, that was really awesome. That was, like I said, when I was able to pull up on my chart and see, you know, everything all the way down was in the green. That was that was truly a good feeling. And
it also shows to people who don't do keto like that. It's not going to skew your numbers like this way, and your cholesterol is going to be, you know, to heck in the handbag, you know what I mean? You know, it's like, now, here's the thing I want to point out is that, you know, there are times when, and you'll probably experience this now that you've started to do more fat, you're going to notice your numbers on your cholesterol probably go up a little bit, as Dr. Boss and Dr. Berry say, but at some point, they'll become, you know, better than what you expected. And they even tell you, okay, relax, talk you off the ledge kind of thing. But I think because you hadn't done super high level fat content, that you probably didn't see that yet, and your doctor didn't see that. But nonetheless, it sounds like she's supporting you. Is she, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's supporting you, you know, going forward which is just amazing because that was like a pivotal moment, I feel like, in his, hey, is this keto thing the right thing for me? You did it and you've been doing it, and now you get this huge reward off of it. So that was, to me, one of the greatest weeks. You had even a Dr. Boz ratio of 179. That was really good. Your macros were 77, 4, and 19. He beat all the macro goal targets on that, which is really, really good. Now, week 7, was his second real week of keto. Same goals. Nothing's changed. Less than 20, or less than equal to 20 on the carbs, same macro targets, same level of fasting, and then trying to eat more clean versus dirty, although you're going to have dirty. Your weight drop, your weight didn't come down like drastically. It was like 2.8. I think I even said something to the extent of that. This was kind of where I live. I live in between the 2 and 3 pound range, on my now 24-week journey. That once you get past the big 5s and 6s, sometimes it goes down to like this, but not dangling a carrot, but we were proved wrong on that, in the weeks to come. So your average blood glucose dropped some, down from 110 to 108, which is really good. You still having a high number here and there. And I noticed, this is the week you said you tried what?
That was when I tried the 72-hour fast.
Yeah, my brother and I were, doing a 72. My brother actually hadn't done a 72 yet. So we turned it into the 3 amigos, and, we all jumped in and supported each other. And, I had a break for about 3 weeks from my 72, so it was good to jump in with somebody else. And Jamie was right there, and yeah, he jumped right in. So that really was really nice, and we saw some things start to move. Not his blood glucose yet, because it's being stubborn. His insulin, but that's how it is. When you have insulin resistance and so forth, you're going to take a little while. So his ketones, now he hit a high, he broke into the 2s on a number, or maybe even 2, but his average for the week was 1.3, which is, even better. He's starting to average in the 1s, which is nutritional ketosis. Carbs were 14.6 for that week. He had 23 as his high carbs. Notice that, he's assigned 20, but I didn't hunt him down and go, well, you're 3 over, you owe me a finger, or something like that. We want to, be realistic. His macros were insane. 81% fat, 3%, carbs, and 16% protein. And, you have an average Dr. Boz ratio of 104. So to me, that was another like, hey, I did it last week and had great success. Now week 7, it was like, man, this is really cranking through. Mm-hmm. So, and this week right here is probably one of the most exciting weeks, which is 8. So I know I'm not giving you a chance, but we're going to talk a little bit at the end of this, because there's some ups and downs about this 5 weeks. But by this point, you've done your second week of keto, like hardcore keto is what I call it. Like you're following all the guidelines to the best of your ability. How were you feeling? Do you remember?
No, it's feeling really good. Feeling refreshed. Ready to get up, start the day.
72 was crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like there's a couple spots you got to push through, but once you push through, you're just like, I can't believe I just went.
Yeah. The first day is that am I going to make it? Am I not going to make it? Am I going to make it? But by the time you wake up that second morning,
oh yeah,
it's just like, oh wow, I feel great. This feels good.
The energy is like insane. That first day, like at hour 24 for me, is like the toughest part. And once I get past it, and I think my brother said the same thing. It sounds like you have kind of the same stuff. It's just different. You're not used to. If you get to 1 meal a day, then you're expecting it then, but you had been doing 16/8, so I imagine that whole little afternoon to evening might have been just like that first day, might have been a little harder.
Yeah.
But once you get through it, wow, you wake up just feeling like, how can I be so energized and not have anything to eat? Yeah. You can't do that as easy on a glucose-based diet, folks. That's, I think, what we recognize. So, the weight loss for week 8. This is where, I thought, oh yeah, I got proved wrong. Yeah, 5. Yep, I got proved wrong. 5. He lost 5 pounds for week 8. So, His average blood glucose still being stubborn, 109. You know, high again of 125 or maybe on one of the days, and then he had a low of 98 on one of the days, which, you know, shows you that it's moving. It's not like going to move overnight, but it's moving. And I believe we had a toothpaste discussion during this week, if I remember. It was either 7 or 8, but either way, we put it in the update video. Yeah. Long story short, I was looking at his numbers going, what the heck? He should have a little bit more headed in the right direction kind of numbers. And, you know, just seeing a 125 or some weird spike like that, I thought, wow, that's just strange. You know, tell me about your morning routine. So what was your morning routine prior to our discussion?
You know, I was getting up. I would, you know, I'd take my shower, weigh myself, brush my teeth, and then before I walked out the door, I was doing my glucose reading. And so what I started doing was get up and do my shower, do my glucose reading, and then go back and brush my teeth afterwards. And it made a drastic
I probably
change.
would even, honestly, between you and I would probably put it, you know, after you get up and after you weigh yourself, you know, I would try to squeeze it in there, because I've even seen just little jumps in, you know, where my body's waking up, and if I go too long, you know, I'll see it. I don't know if that's true, folks, but, you know, if you're really trying to get a true indicator. But the important part is that if you do that routine, keep with that exact routine. But we had a discussion, and I remember Dr. Berry one time talking about this, you know, about, you know, even the smell of some things have been proven to trigger, you know, your insulin to rise, especially if you're like insulin resistant and you're used to eating sweets and anything. So mint toothpaste to me, you know, I'm not saying eat it, but it kind of, you know, tastes decent, you know, makes you think of like eating candy to some degree. So he changed it, and his numbers just like immediately got better, and we saw a 98. Now, would it have made a difference the previous 2 weeks? I don't know, but nonetheless, he changed it, and that's the routine he's sticking with. So average ketones of that week, 1.2. You had a high of 1.5 and a low of 0.9. Average carbs were 6.6. You know, and then you did another fast in there. That's the one, actually, this is the one that had the 72, my fault. And then you had macros of 90, 1, and 9. And the reason you had that is because on your fasting days, what are you doing that's making your numbers higher on your fat?
Oh, I was the MCT oil in the morning.
So if you're doing MCT oil usually has about 15 grams of fat. So he's basically having averages of 100, 100, 100 on those days. And then he bookended this week is what I call it, because he did a 72 at the beginning, 72 at the end, and we'll talk about why he did that in a minute. But so basically a lot of his week was fasting and doing MCT oil. So he had a lot of fat in his, you know, so that's why you see that really large number. So if he was doing advanced, he'd have zeros in all those, and, you know, actually I wouldn't even count those as part of the average, you know, because I don't want the zero to skew it. It's only on the days that you eat that we want to do that, but since you put something in your mouth, we were counting it. You had an average Dr. Boz ratio of that week of 78. Is that the week you said something to me? I'm a real Dr. Boz person or something like now?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Like you're actually got, I don't remember, one of the 2 weeks, you know, that you had this kind of number, you were just like,
drop down below the 100.
I'm actually in the club or something. And I'm like, yeah, it's exactly. It's like you're actually in the range where it shows that you're getting benefit from it. So I think you're getting benefit, you know, once you're cutting those carbs, you know, significantly. So that was a stellar week. So week 9 actually was a good week too. It was actually the first part of his vacation. So Jamie had told me right from the get-go, I have a 12-day vacation, family vacation in Hawaii, which is, you know, very nice to go and enjoy time with the family and all that. But, you know, 6 of those days of the 7 that we're talking about here were in Hawaii. And you thought you maintained. I remember you sending me your little update video. And on the update video, he had said, oh yeah, I'm doing good. I maintained. I've been going up, down, but I've been maintaining. And then I was like, Actually, Jamie, you lost 1.6 pounds according to the spreadsheet. That was great. There's some great things that happened during that week, especially for being on vacation. Your blood glucose now was averaging around 103 instead of the high 100s. High 109, 109, 110. But you had three numbers in the 90s. What did you feel like when you saw those nines coming through and then see them multiple days?
Yeah, that was really cool. That was nice.
One of them was 90 actually. So what he did is I told you he bookended the fast from the previous week on the 72. So he went into this because he was like, well, I'm going on vacation. Do you think I should do another 72? And I was like, up to you, man. And he did. Right up against his vacation. I was so busy and stressed doing all kinds of stuff. I was like, I'm not going to mess with that. Matter of fact, the week I went on vacation, I purposefully chose not to do a long fast. And he was like, oh, I'm going to try to squeeze one more in. I'm like, all right, go for it, dude. And he did it. So do I think this attributed to his blood glucose? Yes. I definitely feel like, that was kind of punching it, saying, all right, you're no longer going to be king, as Dr. Boz would say. So yes, we saw that. Your ketones were still good, 1.1. You had a high of 1.6, a low of 0.5. Your carbs, while you were away, kind of creeped up to like the mid 20s, like 27 is the average for that week. And you had a high of 75. So I'm like looking at your spreadsheet going, yep, he had a day where he indulged on something. I'm sure we'll talk about it at some point. But overall, the week finished out really well with the weight loss, 90s on the blood glucose, 74% fat, 4% carbs, and 22% protein. So to me, that, and the Dr. Boz ratio of 108. Being in Hawaii 6 days surrounded by everybody else who's probably wanting to eat everything that there is because the hotels have all this and this is there and and you still doing what 16/8?
I was doing maybe just a little bit my macadamia nuts and things like that for the lunch period and then just trying to eat a meal in the evenings.
Okay. Yeah, because the only thing I told you that I probably wouldn't do while you were gone. Do you remember? It was the only thing I said. Don't bother doing these while you're gone.
Yeah, you said don't do any fast while I was gone.
Long fast, right? Yeah. Like to 16/8, I said, I think you should do that, but don't do any long fast. I think that would be, just too much to worry about. And during that time period, he had his lowest weight ever, which was 280.2. Now we count the end of the week, but you had a 280.2 as your weight loss. So yeah, that was fantastic. And then, kind of like you said, mine creeps up and down all week myself, and then usually by it gets close to the end of the week, it tapers down. So this one, it tapered up, but I'm like, it's on vacation. It's not like it was, you're already ahead 1 point. I mean, you already lost at the beginning of the week, but you didn't gain enough by the end to still not have a loss. You did. You just thought you didn't. So overall, that was fantastic. And I think that, looking at that one, I'm watching him, checking his numbers every day, and I'm just like, wow, this is impressive because that can be very, very difficult. So second part of the vacation, still doing good, just not like the successes that we have had in the previous, week 6, 7, 8, 9. I think I was thinking to myself, wow, 12 days. What are you going to do for 12 days? It's going to be just, I can't even imagine. What did you guys do every day for 12 days? Yeah. Was it hard, to find stuff to do, or did you just keep finding?
We worked our way all the way around the island.
Okay, all right, that makes more sense now because I usually get vacationed out after 5 days, but I've never actually tried a 12 day. Maybe I should try it one time.
No, that was the longest vacation I've ever taken, and it was nice. It was just nice being away.
This is in week 10. This is the week we're talking about right now. This is the week we're in. We're day 7 of week 10. So you just got back yesterday, right? And so 6 days you were the second part of the vacation. So as far as weight goes, you gain 2 pounds, so you're up to 283.4. But if you compare it to the weights from week 5, which was 296, he's still significantly down. And even more so if you look at the beginning weight of 327 or 318, significantly. Now, here's the thing: is your numbers now, your average blood glucose is back up to 110. With the high being 128 of the week and low being 100. And we'll have a discussion. You kind of asked me about ketones and fasting, and is that necessary? We'll get to that in just a second. But I call these numbers pre-hardcore keto, because you were really hard. It's easy to be. I don't even want to call it hardcore. It's just call it being keto. You didn't go backwards, because you're going to find out, for week 11, you're going to snap right back. I'm just going to get that right out of the way, that you might be like, oh, I undid some stuff because now my blood glucose is averaging 110, my ketones are 0.2. These are all numbers that you've seen prior to, getting really into the keto aspect of it. Average carbs of 28. Average macros of 67, 6, and 26. We're only talking 6 days on that, because today is his 7th day, so we haven't factored in any of his fat or carbs or protein today. So, but it's just showing you his average Dr. Boz ratio was 108. It's just saying that he's kind of come back up a little bit, back to where he was before week 6. It doesn't mean that all is lost, we're quitting, you're doing anything like that. It was just it's very tough, and we're going to talk about exactly why that is. One thing I do want to talk about, the great thing about it is that you didn't gain significantly, is for one thing. 2 pounds is insignificant. Heck, you could even be holding water from the plane and be even, just the flight. Looks like you did 16.8 the entire time while you were there, and trying to mitigate as much as possible by having nuts for lunch and stuff like that. Overall, I think it was a great success, but there's lessons to be learned in this, and I struggle with some of these things too. What's your biggest concern? If you felt like you had to go one more week on vacation, what do you think would happen to you?
You get to the point where you just want a good home cooked meal.
Right.
Eating out daily that's a lot of stress. And then when you do go out and eat out, it's, you order a meal and you think you're getting, what you read on the paper there, and then it comes out and it's like, ooh, that looks funny. I don't know. Is that chicken wing got stuff on it? Does it not have stuff on it? What is that? You're not exactly sure, and you ask your server, is that a naked wing? I want a naked wing with skin on it. Yeah. And then it comes out and it's like, yeah, it looks pretty crispy there, man.
It's like breading.
Yeah.
Thank you. Or, just sneaky carbs, you don't know the dressing of the salad. You don't.
And, the Hawaiians are all about these sauces and things that they put on them too. And, you ask them not to put the sauce on there, or, oh, you need the sauce, and I'll just put it on there real lightly. And, you just don't know exactly what you're getting, and you don't know what's in those sauces.
Right. And it could be, this happens even at home. I think you nailed it there when you said home, but, because when you're at home, you have greater control. It's the easiest, and 90%, 95% of what I eat is from home, and I found it's easier. My video this coming week was going to talk about the 3 times I had to deal with being outside. I had to go to, I went to lunch with some guys, and I don't usually do lunch, and we had to go out. Well, my carbs were over that day. And then went home, and then the family was like, oh, let's get Mexican tonight. I already started to eat. Now I'm already sideways, so that blew it. And then we had my wife's work party at the house, so it's like, I'm staying keto, but the problem is I'm not the control and level that I want. And I think that's what happens when you get on vacation. It can be very difficult. It can be stressful. not everybody, not to say your family's not 100% supportive, because I think they are. It's like, it's just easier sometimes just to like, oh, I'll just have this one thing, or you don't know about the food you're getting. So let's talk about a little bit of what I call the slippery slope. And, to me, this is kind of like the definition of it, where, he's doing good. I'm not at all worried that Jamie is going to, first of all, he's just going to bounce back. It's going to be like so quick, you'll be boom, like you almost never happened. But you don't want to end up like me, is what I'm getting at. So here's what happened. So if you watch my channel, you know that this is my second time into keto. This is your first, my second time into keto. And the reason it's my second is because, I had great success the first time, but it was very all over the place. I muddled my way there. I exercised 3/4 of the time. Zero exercise, folks. I just remember this one time, like, we went to this, we were out of town, we went to a work dinner, the work paid for it and all that, and they brought around this, like, just beautiful dessert tray. And my carbs were probably around averaging 30 to 40. So I was maintaining ketosis, but, I was doing a lot of exercise at the same time. So I kind of would play with, like, I kind of just played on the edge sometimes. I felt like, where the exercise was countering, some of the, like cauliflower pizzas that taste delicious when I know they're probably only this much cauliflower. You do those things, fat bombs, if you go into it unguided with somebody else that says, look, steer clear of that. That's going to mess with your insulin. That's going to do this. Well, I indulged a little bit that day, not crazy, and then like, oh, nothing happened, right? I didn't see any changes. And then, like, I just remember kind of doing 2 or 3 more instances of stuff like that over, doing more things, going out, more eating out. And like you said, you're not at home. You don't have the home cook, you don't have the control and all that jazz. That's what happened to me. And then before you know it, like, 9-10 months later, half my weight was back on. Well, we've all been on that before, where it's like half of it's back. Why not? Why stop? And I just kept, and then I'm back up to like within 6-8 pounds of what I originally started at. Yeah. And then I'm like, how do I do this again? And that's when I created the series. So I'm not at all picking on him. I thought, having 2 weeks vacation, one like ultra successful and the other one, didn't go way off the rails. But also you just kind of step back a little bit before you were before. And all we're trying to do is just point out to you guys that it can get out of control. And the biggest point of it all, you have the control at home. And if you don't have the control at home, that's going to be hard. But if you do, if you go out all the time, then you're going to have to figure out, the places that are safe. Like someone was asking me the other day at my wife's work party, well, what do you do when you go out? And I said, well, first of all, you exclude places like Taco Bell because there's nothing there I can think of, unless you say just, slide out the bucket of meat. And that may be suspect too, as far as like carbs. But like if you're traveling and you're like, there's only a Wendy's on the way, well, guess what? I might get a double or 2 with no bun. It's like you have to make do with what you have to do. But boy, if every one of them is like, everything's just a Taco Bell or something like that, you're going to be screwed. It's going to be tough. Yeah. Or like you mentioned, not in this video, but we were talking earlier and you mentioned something about luau, and there's just kind of, it's a luau, right? You want your luau experience to be the one time that you've ever got to experience it, and they're telling you to drink the Kool-Aid, you want to drink the Kool-Aid. Yeah. So it's very hard not to have the indulgence, right? And that kind of what happened a little bit. So take it from me, who's had to do this, twice, but, I'm ultra focused. I'm hoping, together, and then, as we build our tribe, as Dr. Boss says, that we support each other, and you're just like, okay, you're doing great. Now we're going to, control it. So let's talk about week 11. So week 11, because, he wants to get back on track. You're probably thinking you probably want to fast today, I'm guessing, but.
Yeah, I've been, going back and forth. Do I want to wait a day or two?
I would wait a day. I would honestly wait until you're back in the house now. You're not even in the house 24 hours. You're here, some of it. I would just go ahead and just like eat the controlled keto meal here at home today. You don't have to listen to me. I won't stop you. But, you know, and then just start fresh on Monday, you know, with like if you wanted to do, you know, go to your 16/8 and, you know, maybe you feel like a 24. Don't feel like you have to do a 24 in like that. His goals are exactly the same as they were from before he went. You know, 20 or less on the carbs, you know, 16/8 fasting, non-advanced, macros of like targeting 75, 5, and 20, and trying to eat as much clean as possible. That's his goals. Now, does that mean he's not going to surprise me and do, you know, a 48 or an OMAD one day? It's Jamie. He's been doing this already. You've surprised me so many times. It's like not even funny. I'm like, what do you mean you want to do a 48? You know what I mean? And he just does it. So that he's not, you know, prohibited from doing. I don't make sense. He'll tell you I'm not like when I saw the numbers popping in the spreadsheet. I didn't like send him a text going, send me a picture of what you just ate. You know, it's not at all like that. I'm just like, you know, now if it was just like his spreadsheet went dark and then he stopped returning my text, I might be a little concerned at that point. But at that point, I was not like worried. So what do you think about just doing at least 1 week of like what you did before to get back started?
Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
Okay, so we did talk a little bit about it ahead of time. But you know, I just wanted to kind of say it so I could, you know, make sure and to see if he wants. You know, sometimes people want to pivot, right? They want to try something different. So what I do see coming for you, as far as upcoming like week 12, week 13, week 14, those kinds of changes, and I bet that you're going to end up migrating probably to an OMAD, or maybe even half OMADs, or maybe it's like we take away the MCT oil in the morning. Mm-hmm. You know, we take away, you know, whatever you're doing, you know, as your non-advanced fast, so it's a pure fast. And then maybe we do the OMAD. I don't know yet. We just kind of play it like we always do and see where your body reacts and how quick. I feel like you're going to fall right back into it. I think you're going to dip into the 270s, which is going to be a milestone moment. You know, I suspect you'll probably squeeze more long fast in just like you did before. You know, like I said, not necessary. So, sound like a good plan so far?
Yeah, no, that sounds like, you know, a good plan. You know, I thought last week was a little more indulged. It's not real easy to slide right back into that fast. Right. You know, make that first day, you know, even, you know, and I don't want to get into where I get the flu or anything like that either.
Yeah.
So
you were strong. I mean, like that, even that first week, I was like, he's doing better than I did on vacation. Losing weight and stuff like that. I was just like, well, I think I lost some too. But it's like, my point is that you slid into home like strong, and then like, but you know, 12 days of vacation, you got to keep up another 6. I'm doing this thing with this week. I just did 3 times, and it was like, geez, my carbs are over every single time. And I feel like I have ultra control, right? Because I'm super disciplined, but it's just too easy. Mm-hmm. But guess what? We're still in ketosis. You're still doing some level of fasting. You know, you gained hardly next to nothing. I mean, 2 pounds in the grand scheme of things, nothing out of the weight you lost. So super successful. So now my question to Jamie is, any more surprises like work travel? I mean, you might get a work travel schedule, but that you don't really have control over. But vacations?
No, I'm good. Last 2 months were quite fulfilled with vacation.
That's like his second one. And so when is the next vacation?
The next one's not till February. So
okay.
I've got a little bit before that. So
wow, we might be at. We have you. I think we have you projected to be at goal before then.
Yeah.
So we'll have completely different other things to, you know, to discuss. You know, because I'll be figuring out my maintenance journey and when I finally add exercise and stuff. So that'll be things you want to do and stuff like that. What about future challenges? Anything you see coming up in the next 5-6 months besides that vacation? Or
it's the only thing that really comes to mind is everybody's favorite time of the year when you bring the turkey out.
Oh yeah. I've done this. Good thing I've done. Depending on your religion, beliefs, all that other stuff. What I've done. I've done 2-3 Easters under keto and had success. Very good success. I've had Thanksgiving's, success. But also after I, kind of like fell off the wagon and stuff, I've had, I don't care, I'm gonna eat whatever I want kind of thing. So we'll just worry about that when we get closer to it, because, we could talk all day about, the recipes and things, and hopefully maybe I'll have recipes on the channel by then, and maybe you'll have some recipes to share too. So I think that, pretty much wraps what we want to say about you, unless you can think of anything else. I'm just going to glance through our script here. It's just mainly just a summary of all his notes. I know it's a long video, folks. Thanks for sticking around on that. Anything else you can think of, just...
No, like I said, I feel like I was nervous about going on vacation for the 2 weeks like that. And
I think you did great. I mean, don't take me mentioning that my slippery slope as, I was crazy worried that he's doing it. I mean, he's back, and, I'm just excited to get it, you get back into it, because I know that 270 or 27 numbers coming.
Yeah.
Like, you're this close.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to come like the middle of the week. Like,
yeah.
As soon as you get right back in home cooked food,
and and then the glucose, averaging below the 100.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for that. Yeah. Oh, I did want to clear up, because you had mentioned something before about my blood glucose or ketones or something will be better like when I get back into fasting. And I wanted to clear that up, because you can be, matter of fact, the last time I did my journey into keto, I did maybe 1 long fast in almost 2 years, and I was in ketosis the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I was in good ketosis, I had good blood glucose numbers, and I didn't do a single bit of fasting. So I don't want you to think you have to do fasting. I think what fasting, besides all the other benefits that we could go on about, is that it does help break that insulin resistance. It does knock, gets that blood glucose number down quicker and chips at it, and breaks its strength and so forth. And it also does bring up your ketones into the higher range and all that other stuff. But you don't need fasting to do keto and lose weight and all that other stuff. But you will find it makes it significantly easier to get to your goal quicker and get all those other cool benefits, like autophagy and, cool things. So I think you're going to be right back in it.
All right.
So should we tell them about our, I've already told you guys on the updates for the last 6 weeks, 6, 7, 8, and 9, that Jamie and I
we're going to go attend the Keto Pa-LOU-Za.
It's going to be awesome, because we're going to party the whole time. No, I'm kidding. If you call hanging out with a bunch of ketoers, party. I'm sure that there'll be like pockets of people that go to dinner, or they'll have stuff like that, and you can bet it's all going to be keto. But the intention is to go down, meet people like Dr. Boz, meet people like Dr. Berry, and then the other people that I honestly, I'm so busy, you're busy, that I don't know. I mean, should I be looking? Yeah, I look. But sometimes when you find the people that work for you, like the Dr. Boz, the Dr. Berry, and Jamie and I working together and stuff like that, you kind of like in life, right? You have all this other stuff going on. You don't really look for more than that if you don't really have to. It'd just be neat just to run in, because I see other keynote speakers, but I'm like, I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
It's not like there's going to be a keto quiz at the door and they say, do you know that person? You don't? You can't get in. I don't know. I want to meet them. We want to walk around. We want to look at the exhibits. We want to grab some swag. We want, as I probably said in every one of the videos so far, that, if we're there and you recognize us, don't hesitate to come up. We are as normal can get. It might be frightening. You might be frighteningly scared about how normal we are, because we may just act goofy around you and be like, gosh, they put on this channel. But yeah, please come up and say hi to us, and and tell us some exciting cool things you're doing with keto, and then like what exhibits you've seen that maybe we haven't been around to yet. I have zero clue what this is like. In my field of study, I've been to a few conferences in my life, not a lot, but I really don't know what it's like to go to a keto conference. I'm pretty excited. So the conference is, and I'll put it up on the screen. I got to try to fit it between Just lean back like this for about a second. See, this is me trying to be creative for the editing later, that, you know, I'm going to put the address, or not the address, but the location, the name of it, the email address right here, not email address, website address. And then, you know, that's where we're going. We'll be down there the 7th and 8th, but the Keto Pa-LOU-Za conference is actually 6th, 7th, and 8th. So if you want to go down for 3 days, you can just head on down for 3 days. We'll be there Saturday and Sunday. We'll be staying at the hotel I think that it's hosted in. So I think there's probably still some tickets available and maybe hotel rooms. So hopefully we'd like to see you there. You can let's get back in. We can hug now. I'm kidding. But we'll be there. We'd be really, really excited, you know, again to, you know, talk to you. So I think that's it. All right. That's it for the video this week, folks. Actually, I should say this week, this 5 weeks, right? Carry the 6. Sorry. So, let me tell you when we're going to do another one. So we haven't really worked it out yet, you know, but I think it's going to be like 4 or 5 weeks from now. We'll sort it out because, you know, he has his schedule, I have my schedule, but that's when I'll be our next sit down. But then as always, we'll have, you know, updates in between. You can guarantee weeks 11, 12, and 13 will probably be just short update videos. Maybe 14 might be in person, maybe 15. But nonetheless, every week you'll get a video. So, all right. So, please take time to like and subscribe so you can keto with me. More importantly, so you can get updates on this guy, because he's actually thinner now, a lot thinner. And you know, I've seen him with the shirt off. I've seen him on this profile. You can tell. I can't wait till we get to where we show those pictures, you know, and so forth. And then if you have any comments or questions, don't hesitate to leave them down below. Just remember, nobody's perfect. Be a coach, not a critic, and take care, folks.